Good evening. I'm Jim Axelrod, and this is a Western edition of the broadcast. Tonight, Belgium is under its highest terror alert, level 4, following warnings by government officials there of a, quote, serious and imminent threat of an attack. The U.S. Embassy in Brussels ordered Americans in Belgium to shelter in place and remain at home. The U.S. European Command issued a 72-hour travel restriction on all U.S. military personnel not to travel to Brussels, where NATO is headquartered. At least one suspect from last week's deadly attacks on Paris is still on the run and was last seen crossing into Belgium. We begin tonight in Brussels with Debora Patta.
This is what the level 4 security alert looked like on the streets of Brussels today. Security forces patrolled usually busy shopping areas. Stores opened briefly for business before closing their doors. Several planned concerts and soccer matches were cancelled, and the metro has been shut down for the weekend. Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel says his government was acting on a specific threat of a Paris-like attack. We are talking about the threat that several individuals with arms and explosives would launch an attack, he said, perhaps in several locations at the same time. This is the man who triggered the extremely rare city lockdown. Salah Abdeslam, one of the Paris attackers who's evaded police for more than a week now. Intelligence reports suggest Abdeslam disappeared into the criminal underworld after hitching a ride back from Paris shortly after the attacks. André Jacob tracked Islamic terrorism for 20 years for the Belgian intelligence agency. I think that if there wasn't precise information, they would not have put the level alert at 4, he explained. That's only happened 2 or 3 times in the last 20 years. This new hybrid of petty criminal and recently radicalized ISIS supporter is hard to monitor.
So one minute they're petty criminals, the next minute they become extremists. How difficult is it to manage this new challenge?
There's always been a connection between the underworld of petty criminals, drug dealers and recruitment, he said. The problem is that radicalization happens very fast. Abdeslam fits that pattern perfectly. He spent time in jail for a botched robbery and ran a local bar in Molenbeek with his brother, who also blew himself up in Paris last Friday. Their bar was closed down just over a week before the Paris attacks on suspicion of drug running.
We spoke to the lawyer for one of the men who drove Abdeslam back. She said her client became concerned because Abdeslam was extremely agitated and wouldn't explain what had happened. He was wearing a large jacket, and it's feared he may have been hiding a suicide vest underneath it that night. That's one of the reasons, Jim, why the city is so on edge.
Debora Patta covering for us tonight in the Belgian capital of Brussels. Thank you.